Whatever happens next in the UK, Boris Johnson will be leading the way. He's now back at 10 Downing Street in London. Johnson's expected to speak after meeting the Queen last hour and to formally ask her if he can form the UK's next government. Traditionally, the Prime Minister speaks outside Downing Street, but we have no word yet on the timing for his speech. You're seeing return there after going to meet the Queen. Voters are giving Boris Johnson a strong majority in what is being seen as one of the most important elections there in decades. Years of economic upheaval and uncertainty could be ahead, but they now know there is one sure thing. The UK will leave the European Union within weeks.
Yeah, delighted. Yeah, very happy. Didn't actually vote for Brexit, but I just wanted it done.
I voted for Boris, yeah, voted Conservative. I just didn't like Jeremy Corbyn.
The thing is, I don't even like Jeremy Corbyn at the end of the day, but the lesser of two evils is him. I don't understand, really. I just feel sick.
Those are voters to whom we spoke early this morning on the streets of London. Here are some headlines as well from the papers. Landslide, historic victory. That's what you see splashed across the front pages of papers like The Times and the Daily Telegraph. The Daily Express goes for the mood of the voters with British Lion roars for Boris and Brexit. And The Independent hints at what may be ahead with Johnson unleashed. Johnson's Conservatives have won 364 of the Commons' 650 seats, with one seat to be declared. So that gives them a majority right now of 38. Alana Petrov is covering this from London for us this morning, right there at 10 Downing, as we await, perhaps, that speech from Boris Johnson at some time during our program this morning. It was a huge victory for him, and he was absolutely over the moon in describing it. What was it about him and the issue that won over voters?
So, Heather, yes, I am standing outside 10 Downing Street here, where Prime Minister Boris Johnson just came in about 20 minutes ago, and voters put him here, right behind me, because they really liked his focus on Brexit, naturally, and they liked that he was so driven, that he was a little bit funny. A lot of people said, I feel like I could have a beer with him. So we can see that funniness on display, that affability with this next clip of Johnson speaking.
And with this mandate and this majority, we will at last be able to do what? You've been paying attention. Because this election...
Now, voters were willing to overlook a number of things with electing Prime Minister Boris Johnson into number 10 Downing Street. For example, they overlooked that he acted unlawfully when he went to suspend Parliament in order to get his Brexit deal through. They also overlooked allegations of sexual harassment from 1999. And they overlooked the fact that his Brexit deal is forecast to be worse for the country than Prime Minister Theresa May's deal, and worse than remaining in the European Union. But they thought that with the Labour Party led by Jeremy Corbyn, they just didn't have a good alternative. So let's hear from the head of the Labour Party, Jeremy Corbyn.
Brexit has so polarised and divided debate in this country. It has overridden so much of a normal political debate. And I recognise that has contributed to the results that the Labour Party has received this evening all across this country.
Now, Corbyn is saying that he will be stepping down from his position after some soul-searching within the party. Heather.
Alana, January 31st, that is the Brexit deadline. And given the outcome last night, those who were in the Remain camp have lost their last real legitimate chance at stopping that move. Boris Johnson firmly at the helm with that strong majority. So what's next?
As you said, January 31st is the Brexit deadline, and Boris Johnson is going to follow through on his promise to get Brexit done. With that majority in Parliament, he has the backing of members of Parliament to push through his Brexit deal. Now, after that, we have a transition period for the rest of the year where the UK will have to work on forming new trade deals with the European Union, with other countries, including the US. It will have to reform its immigration policies and a whole number of international relationships. So there is still tons more work to be done in the months and years ahead, Heather.
Alana, thank you very much. Alana there on Downing Street. But excuse me, Alana, just before I let you go, you're not hearing anything as to when Johnson might speak, are you?
Johnson just came in about 20 minutes ago.
Right.
We have not heard yet when he might speak, but expect that there will be a lectern out in front before he starts speaking, so we're waiting for that.
All right, I will watch for that as my cue, and we'll be back to you for that. Thank you for being in position for us hour by hour. That's Alana Petrov. They're just up close to 10 Downing Street. And again, as we look live at the scene just down the street from Alana's location near 10 Downing, again, just to remind you, lots of reaction to this. The pound, very solid this morning, really appreciating the ending to a lot of the uncertainty. World reaction, it came first from Donald Trump congratulating Boris Johnson on his win. He tweeted "win" in caps and said that Britain and the United States will now be free to strike a massive new trade deal after Brexit.